Hey parents, Dr. Matt here from PwC Chiropractic. I wanted to share this quick video with you because so many kiddos that we take care of and so many kiddos in our community, honestly, struggle with sensory processing disorder. They struggle with dealing with sensory situations or social situations, or they're seekers, or they struggle with sensitivities. And that really just breaks, honestly, my heart. I have 4 kids of my own. And when they struggle in those situations, I always want to help. And so I wanted to record this quick 5 to 10 minute video to really talk why this is. There's an amazing study that I'm going to reference here on the screen right now that deals with human brain development. Specifically starting with kiddos. It's actually a Harvard study. You can see the kind of link over there on the far right slide. But this study talks about when the development happens in kiddos. And oftentimes when we think sensory struggles in kids, we think kind of 2, 3 years old on, right? It's kind of when they start, because when they're so little, they're really not doing much, or you don't really notice it. A lot of times the symptoms in babies are, have a little bit of colic, or they're not, going to the bathroom as well. They're not eating or nursing or latching as well. Well, even though those are the external symptoms, we actually find that most sensory challenges start much earlier. They actually start right around birth and delivery. And you can see that over here on this graph that has the wavy wiggly lines, is if you notice when the sensory pathways, vision, hearing, touch, taste, smell, all those things shoot up out of the gates really at 0 to 1 month's time. Now, why is that important? Now, if at birth there's any bit of stress, like we commonly see in the delivery process, in a difficult delivery, in a more stressed out delivery. So moms that have, longer active labors, or, a normal vaginal birth turns into, an emergency C-section, or if they have to use vacuum or forceps or those type of things, there can be more physical stress that's put on this area in the upper necks, really neurological system. And why that's important is if that happens, and right then is when those sensory pathways are starting to activate, that injury or that just trauma right in that region can really impact that sensory system. And so a lot of times as parents, we don't see it until much later on in life, even though that's really where it starts, right at that birth process. Secondly, when it impacts this area, what that tends to do is it causes symptoms similar to colic, constipation, fussiness, just uncomfortability. What that really is deep down neurologically is fight or flight. Babies are more stressed out. They're a little bit more in protection mode from that physical form of stress early on. And what happens to that is really what this middle slide shows, is persistent stress. It really wires the brain to do things a little bit differently. We like to always say the term nerves that fire together wire together. So a baby that's more stressed out as an infant is going to grow into a stressed out toddler. Now, the symptoms of that are much more sensory related, much more behavior related, on that end than they are with a baby. And you can see that really in babies' neurological signaling. If you look at like a normal signal, it's very branchy, it's very open, it's very creative. There's a lot of different pathways. If you have a sensory child at home, like I did to start with my oldest, a lot of times if you say no, or if you make them do something, it's very run track. It's either yes or no. There's not a lot of options. And that's similar to the neurology that they're really going through, honestly, in their body, where the brain doesn't make a lot of those neural connections. It stays more in protection, and it takes really a one-way street because it wants to stay in that protection mode. So that's where, if you get a kiddo that struggles with loud noises, sometimes even tasting foods, they don't like how, their jeans fit or jeans feel, or like collars are really annoying to them. They have trouble in social situations, or just loud noises irritate them. That shows that what's going on in the brain, the nervous system doesn't want to make those connections to really be able to adapt with those. So really, when you look at how this develops, that's kind of the first part. But really the second part is, how can we help? How does, a pediatric chiropractor help? How does an OT or PT therapist help? Well, really the key with helping sensory struggles is get help early. From this Harvard study, it really addresses the brain's ability to change its response is so much better before the age of 7. It takes much less effort. And that's really because of one word. It's called neuroplasticity. When we're younger than 7, our bodies have a chance to grow, change, and just really work through things very quickly to change those pathways. After 7, it can still happen. There's still an ability to change, but it just takes longer because the body's kind of stuck in its old ways. This is kind of the old dogs can't learn new tricks, right? When you get into your mid 30s and 40s and 50s, there's not a lot changing your routine. The beautiful thing is when you're a little bit younger, it's easier to do that. And so that's why we like to help kids at such a young age, right when they're struggling with this. If you start to notice those symptoms 2, 3, 4 years old, we want to talk to you. We want to get them in. We want to be able to engage in their story to be able to help them with these sensory struggles. We know everyone's sensory struggles are a little bit unique. Some kiddos are seeking, some kids are more, where they're just sensitive to everything and want to really pull back. We want to help you with whatever your situation is, because we know this is not something that's just external. It's a deep struggle within the nervous system. And so we want to unpack that story. So if you want to, check out more, obviously on our site or on our Facebook page, but we would love to connect with you. Just do a phone consult with myself or one of our doc team just to find out, okay, exactly how can we help? When was that stress started? How does it look persistently in the body, and how can we get after it sooner rather than later to really help them grow up more comfortable with their environment, more thriving, and just feeling overall great. If you guys have any other questions, I'd love to answer it. I love doing these with you guys. But I just hope, you find the answers you're looking for, and we can help. Take care, everybody.